Okay, ready to dive deep. Today, we're tackling something called the holographic universe.
Oh, wow. That sounds intense.
It is. It's this wild idea that everything we see and experience, like everything, might actually be a holographic projection
Wait, a projection? Like from where?
from a deeper level of existence that we don't normally perceive.
So, like, what if this podcast, my house, my cat, it's all just a super realistic 3D movie?
Exactly, like a cosmic movie playing out, and we're all characters in it.
I'm already mind blown, and we just started.
I know, right? And our guide for this deep dive is Michael Talbot's book, The Holographic Universe.
Okay, so Talbot lays out this whole model.
He does, and it's definitely not mainstream science, but some seriously bright minds think it could be the key to understanding, well, everything.
Like who? Give me some names.
All right, the two big names behind this model are David Bohm and Carl Pribram.
Okay, I've heard of Bohm. He was a quantum physicist, right?
Right, and get this, he actually studied under Einstein.
Wow, talk about an impressive mentor.
I know. But Bohm wasn't satisfied with the standard explanations of quantum physics. He felt like there had to be a deeper level to reality.
Makes sense. And what about Pribram? What was his deal?
Pribram was a neurophysiologist at Stanford. He was obsessed with the brain, especially how memory works.
And they both came up with this holographic idea.
That's the crazy part. They came to it independently. Bohm was looking at the universe, Pribram at the brain, but they both arrived at the same mind-blowing concept.
Okay, that does make it more intriguing. Like, what are the chances?
Exactly. So let's start with Pribram and his theory of the holographic brain.
Right, lay it on me.
So think about it. If memories were stored in specific neurons, like files in a cabinet, then if you damage a part of the brain, you should lose specific memories.
Yeah, that's what I'd think.
But that's not always what happens. People can have brain damage and still retain memories, which suggests that memories aren't localized, but somehow spread out throughout the brain.
Interesting.
And that's where the hologram analogy comes in. If you cut a hologram in half, you don't get half the image. You get the whole image, just smaller.
Right, I've seen that. So Pribram thought the brain might store information holographically.
Exactly. Instead of specific locations, it's like the whole brain holds the memory.
That is so cool.
And get this, holograms can store a crazy amount of information. A tiny piece of film can hold tons of data, like way more than a computer.
Wow, seriously.
Seriously. Pribram thought this could explain how our brains hold so many memories and process information so quickly. It's like a super efficient storage system.
I'm trying to picture my brain like a shimmering hologram holding all my memories. It's kind of trippy.
I know, right? And then there's this concept called recognition holography.
Okay, what's that?
It's like using holograms to recognize things. You know how our brains can recognize a friend's face even if we only see part of it?
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like that. It hints at how our brains might use holographic principles to recognize familiar things.
Fascinating. So there's actually science to back up this whole holographic brain idea.
There is. Studies have shown that memories aren't always localized, like one with salamanders. Their memories seem to be distributed, just like in a hologram.
Wow, so it's not just a theory. There's real evidence.
Yeah, and that's just the brain. Now imagine applying this holographic idea to the entire universe. That's where Bohm comes in.
Okay, I'm ready. Bring on Bohm and his cosmic hologram.
He called it the implicate order.
The implicate order. Sounds mysterious.
It is. It's like this hidden level of reality, the underlying foundation of everything. Our everyday reality kind of emerges from it, like a projection from a deeper source.
So there's more to reality than what we see and experience. There's this whole other level we're usually not aware of.
Exactly. Bohm used this analogy. Imagine a crab of ink being mixed into glycerin.
Okay, I'm picturing it. The ink spreads out, swirls around.
Right. The ink is like information, and the glycerin is this implicate order. As you stir, the ink gets enfolded within the glycerin. Bohm believed that information about everything in the universe is enfolded within this implicate order.
So everything's connected on this deeper level.
Yeah. Like every part of the universe contains information about the whole universe, just like a piece of a hologram contains information about the whole image.
That's pretty mind-blowing.
Right. And Bohm had a term for how this implicate order constantly unfolds and creates our reality. The holo movement.
It's a holo movement.
It's like a cosmic dance of information constantly flowing in and out of existence, creating the reality we perceive.
Wow, so a reality is like a constantly changing hologram being projected from this deeper level of existence. It's like the universe is breathing, expanding, and contracting, and we're riding that wave.
That's a great way to put it. But here's the big question. Where does our consciousness fit into all of this? Is that part of this cosmic hologram too?
That's what I'm wondering. If we're all part of this interconnected web of information, are our minds connected to the fabric of reality itself?
Big questions, right. And those are exactly the kind of mind-bending possibilities we'll be exploring in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay, I can't wait. This is getting really interesting. Welcome back. So, last time, we were just starting to dip our toes into the whole consciousness thing.
Right. Like, how does consciousness fit into this cosmic hologram picture?
Yeah, and Talbot explores some seriously mind-bending possibilities.
Okay, like what? Hit me with the mind-bending stuff.
Well, he talks about the idea that our thoughts might actually influence matter.
Hold on, wait, mind over matter? That's like, telekinesis and stuff. Isn't that more like fantasy land?
I know it sounds wild, but Talbot presents some pretty compelling examples.
Like what? Give me an example.
The placebo effect.
Hmm.
When people get better just because they believe they're getting a treatment, even if it's a sugar pill.
Yeah, I've heard of that. But is that really mind over matter, or is it more psychological?
But think about it. If it's just psychological, why does it have real effects on the body? Studies show placebos can cause physical changes, like reducing pain, even shrinking tumors.
Seriously?
Seriously. Talbot even mentions how placebos can work for things like angina, which is serious chest pain.
That's pretty wild. So our beliefs, even if they're not, like, medically accurate, can actually have a physical effect.
Exactly. It's like our minds are sending signals to our bodies to, heal themselves.
Okay, that's kind of freaky, but also really cool. But if our thoughts can affect our own bodies, could they also affect things outside of us? Like, could we actually move objects with our minds?
Now we're getting into some serious mind over matter territory. Talbot talks about psychokinesis or PK, like in those movies where people move things with their thoughts.
Yeah, I've always wondered if that's real.
Well, he talks about experiments where people have been able to, influence the outcome of random events, like flipping a coin or rolling dice, just by concentrating on it.
No way. How is that even possible? Those are all about chance, right?
I know, it's hard to wrap your head around. But Talbot also looks at historical accounts of mind over matter, stuff that's harder to just dismiss as coincidence.
Okay, like what?
He talks about these people in 18th century France called the convulsionaires.
Go what?
Convulsionaires. They were part of this religious movement, and during these intense religious experiences, they go into trances and do these incredible things.
Intense in what way?
I mean, spiritually intense.
Yeah.
And they'd exhibit these feats of strength and endurance that seem impossible.
Okay, like what kind of feats? Give me some examples.
Things like, withstanding blows from heavy objects,
Good.
walking on fire, even putting sharp objects into their bodies without feeling pain.
Are you serious? That's crazy.
It's like they were tapping into some hidden power that made them superhuman.
Wow, were these real documented cases? Or more like stories and legends?
These accounts were documented by all sorts of people, scientists, doctors, you name it.
Really? So people actually saw this stuff happening?
Yeah. While some thought it was fake, others were totally convinced that something truly extraordinary was going on.
It's like that saying, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence.
Right.
So what about other cultures? Is this mind over matter stuff found in other parts of the world?
Absolutely. Talbot talks about firewalking.
Oh, yeah, I've seen videos of that. People walking across hot coals.
Right. And somehow they don't get burned. Some researchers think it's because their state of mind allows them to change the physical properties of the coals.
Or create some kind of energy shield around their feet.
Maybe it's the power of a belief, the power of the mind can override physical laws.
It makes you wonder what other hidden abilities we have that we just haven't tapped into yet.
Exactly. Talbot tells this amazing story about a guy named Jack Schwartz.
Jack Schwartz, okay.
He could consciously control things like his heart rate, blood pressure, even his body temperature.
Wow, for real?
He said it was all through meditation and self-discipline. He believed anyone could learn to do it.
If that's true, that changes everything. What if we're all just scratching the surface of what's possible?
Right. And that's what's so exciting about the holographic model. It opens up all these possibilities about who we are and what we're capable of.
It really does make you think, doesn't it?
It does. And it's not just about mind over matter. Talbot also explores this idea that we each have an energy field around us, what some people call the aura.
Wait, the aura, isn't that more like New Age stuff?
You might be surprised. There's been some scientific research on the aura. Talbot talks about a researcher, Valerie Hunt.
Okay, and what did she do?
She used a device called an electromyograph, or EMG, to study the energy field around people.
An EMG, isn't that usually for measuring muscle activity?
Right. But she found these unusual electrical signals that didn't seem to be coming from the muscles. She believed they were coming from the aura, and that they formed these, like, complex holographic patterns.
So it's like the aura is this holographic field that surrounds and maybe even influences our physical bodies.
Exactly. And Talbot talks about healers and psychics who claim to, see and manipulate the aura.
Interesting. I've always been kind of skeptical about that stuff, but maybe there's more to it than I thought.
It's definitely a fascinating area, even if it's not, fully accepted by mainstream science.
This is giving me a whole new perspective on what it means to be human. It's like we're not just physical beings, we're also these like energetic beings, these walking, talking holograms interacting with the universe on a deeper level.
That's a great way to put it. And that brings us to another area where the holographic universe model gets really wild.
Yeah.
The paranormal.
Okay, well, now we're talking about ghosts and ESP and all that stuff.
You got it.
Yeah.
Things like telepathy, clairvoyance, precognition, even ghosts and hauntings, stuff that usually gets dismissed as, woo-woo.
Yeah, but if reality is this hologram, if everything's connected on a deeper level, then maybe those things aren't so far-fetched after all.
That's exactly what Talbot explores.
Okay, I'm listening. Tell me more.
He says these paranormal phenomena make a lot more sense if we view them through the holographic lens. If our minds are all connected to this, like, duper level of reality, then things like telepathy could just be us tapping into that shared information field.
So it's like we're all tuned into the same cosmic radio station, and sometimes we pick up on each other's signals.
That's a great analogy.
But what about, like, ghosts? Is Talbot saying ghosts are real?
He doesn't say for sure, but he explores the possibility that they could be, like, holographic projections from the past.
Wait, so, like, recordings etched into reality. That's spooky.
I know, right? But it would explain why some people see ghosts and others don't. Maybe some people are just more sensitive to those, like, energetic imprints.
Okay, now I'm getting chills. So you're saying we could be surrounded by ghosts all the time and not even know it?
It's a possibility. He talks about how many hauntings happen in places where, like, traumatic or emotionally charged events happen. It's like those events leave behind some kind of energetic residue.
And some people can pick up on that energy.
Maybe. And he even takes it a step further. He suggests that some UFO sightings could also be related to these holographic imprints.
Whoa, hold on. UFOs, now you're really messing with my head.
I know, it sounds crazy. But think about it. There are all these UFO reports that defy physics. Maybe they're not alien spacecraft at all, but like glimpses into other dimensions or echoes of events from a different time.
Okay, this is too much. My brain is officially fried.
I know, right? This stuff is mind-blowing. But it's also super intriguing. Makes you wonder, what else is possible? What other mysteries are out there waiting to be discovered?
Seriously. But we haven't even touched on the biggest mystery of all. What happens when we die?
Ah, yes, the ultimate question. And that's exactly what we'll be tackling in the final part of our deep dive. Get ready. Things are about to get even weirder.
All right, welcome back to the deep dive. We've covered so much ground already, it's amazing.
I know, right? From brains as holograms to mind over matter, it's wild.
It is. But now, let's get to the big question, the one we've all been wondering about. What happens after we die?
The ultimate mystery. And the holographic universe model really challenges our ideas about life, death, and, well, the soul.
Okay, color me intrigued. What does Talbot say about all that?
He explores some really fascinating evidence that suggests consciousness might not just, like, disappear when our bodies die.
Wait, seriously, like what kind of evidence? Give me the details.
One of the main things he looks at is near-death experiences, those NDEs you hear about.
Yeah, I've heard stories about those. People seeing a bright light, feeling like they're floating outside their body.
Right, but a lot of people think those are just hallucinations, right?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. The brain's under stress, so it kind of makes sense that it would, create those kinds of images.
That's what a lot of people think. But here's the thing. There are all these similarities in NDE accounts from all over the world, different cultures, different times. And people who've had them often say those experiences felt more real than anything else in their lives.
Okay. So what are some of those common things people report? Like the details?
Well, a lot of people talk about leaving their bodies and watching things from above, like they're floating. And they describe traveling through a tunnel towards a bright light, feeling this overwhelming sense of peace and love.
I've definitely heard about the tunnel and the light. It's almost like a cliche at this point.
I know, right? But it's so common. And they also often talk about meeting deceased loved ones or like spiritual beings.
Wow, so they're like reunited with people they've lost.
It seems that way. And sometimes they have this life review where they see their whole life flash before their eyes, all the good and bad stuff.
That's intense, but if it's not just the brain making stuff up, then what's going on? How does the holographic universe fit into all of this?
Remember Bohm's implicate order? That deeper level of reality where everything's interconnected.
Yeah, I remember. It's like the source code of the universe or something.
Exactly. Some researchers think NDEs could be glimpses into that implicate order, like our consciousness is shifting to that level of existence for a bit.
So it's like the tunnel of light is a portal to this other realm of consciousness.
It's a mind-blowing idea. But it would explain why so many NDEs have these same elements, no matter who the person is or what they believe.
And it fits with the idea that consciousness isn't just limited to the physical brain.
Right. It might be more like a fundamental part of the universe itself.
This is heavy stuff. But if consciousness can exist beyond the body, does that mean part of us survives after death? Is that what we think of as the soul?
That's a great question. Talbot explores that too. He suggests the soul could be like a holographic blueprint, holding all the information about our experiences, our personality.
Okay, so it's like a record of who we are.
Exactly. And maybe when we die, that blueprint doesn't just vanish. Maybe it gets reabsorbed into the larger cosmic hologram.
So like our individual consciousness merges back into the universal consciousness.
Something like that. And some people believe that blueprint can even be reborn into a new physical form.
Reincarnation. Now that's a whole other rabbit hole.
It is. But there's been some interesting research on reincarnation, especially by a psychiatrist named Ian Stevenson.
What did he find?
He studied kids who claimed to remember past lives. And some of them could give really specific details that could be verified.
Wait, really? Like what kind of details?
They could describe the lives of people who had actually existed, sometimes in places they'd never been to. And some even had birthmarks that matched injuries on the person they claimed to have been in their past life.
No way. So you're saying those kids might have been carrying memories from a previous life?
It's definitely a possibility. And it fits with the idea that, everything's interconnected. Information can be stored and accessed in ways we don't fully get yet.
Wow, my head is spinning. This whole holographic universe idea is really making me rethink everything I thought I knew about life and death and what it all means.
I know, right? It really challenges our assumptions.
It does, and it opens up so many possibilities.
Exactly. That's what makes it so exciting. Who knows what other mysteries are out there waiting to be discovered.
Well, I want to thank you for joining me on this incredible journey into the holographic universe. It's been a real mind bender.
It has. And I think it's safe to say that reality might be even more amazing and mysterious than we ever imagined.
Absolutely. So to our listeners, keep an open mind, keep exploring, and who knows what you might discover about yourself and the universe we live in. Thanks for listening.